The following is a presentation of Team Bonding, providing more than 100 live, virtual, or hybrid corporate team building activities for companies around the world. Visit teambonding.com to schedule your event now.
Hello once again, my team. It's me, Rich Riddensland, the host of Team Building Around the World, the podcast where I speak to people from team bonding, team building industry from all over the globe. I actually have as my guest today someone I've done a little studying on, and he is a fascinating individual that I just can't wait to talk to. Mr. Rupert Picardo, the director of Difference, all the way over in India, ladies and gentlemen. So we're really reaching across the globe today. In point of fact, it is actually a little after 8 p.m. on the East Coast where I'm recording from, but it's about 5:35 in the morning for Rupert. So we're going to try to be a little kind to him while we go ahead and take care of some things. First off, I do want to talk about some of our supporters we have for this show. Of course, the Catalyst Team Building Network first, finding out more about the world's largest network of team building providers at catalystglobal.com. And we also want to thank our friends at B1G1, which can make your business a real force for good. Visit b1g1.com to get started. So as I was saying, I did a little background check before starting tonight's show on my friend, Mr. Picardo, and I found some amazing things. Now, Rupert, correct me if I'm wrong. First off, everybody say hello to Rupert. That is a small cluster of my team that I have hidden under my desk, Rupert, just so you're aware. And say hello.
Sounded great to hear that this early. Apologies. Go ahead.
Not a problem. See, even though it's bright and early in the morning for you, they're just so excited to see you. But am I correct? And when I read that in June 2018, you broke a Guinness record?
I would say that I was a part of an attempt, and actually a successful attempt to break a Guinness record. Yes.
Okay. And what was that for?
We had 18,000 people from an organization here gathered together at a large conference, and they want to do something together that could possibly break a record, but also engage and motivate everyone. So we got them to do something like a haka chant, a body rhythm, so to speak. And we had an adjudicator from Guinness, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm hoping that the crowd enjoyed themselves too.
So the award is actually for 18,000 haka chanters, or is it something else?
Well, we called it body percussion. So it was, you're creating percussion without using any instrument. So it was about stomps and claps and anything as long as it's not vocalized or using an instrument. So yeah, 18,000 haka chanters is possibly something that the listeners are likely to relate to.
Exactly. Now, how long did you run that for? How long were those people actually all making noise?
About 7.5 continuous minutes.
Wow.
But it was, I'd like to think of it more than noise. I don't think we'd have got a record for that. I think it was a little better than that.
Well, my apologies. I certainly didn't mean to offend. But yeah, that is highly impressive, Rupert. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. But now tell us a little bit more about yourself. Like, how long have you been involved in the team bonding industry?
16 years almost, I would say. Actually, it's going to be 15 years in the company since I founded it 2005. But I'd say there was at least a year of that entire thought process as well as what I was doing with the other organization. That's how long it's been in the industry, I would say.
And what did you do something? What were you doing before that? What actually brought you right into this industry?
Okay, that's I'd say a very different kind of a story. So I was I was an account manager in an IT firm. Since I'm from Bangalore, and for those of you who know what Bangalore is, it's where we have a lot of these IT firms, large organizations, and a lot of the outsourcing and things like that. Software development has been big, and being an account manager, I was kind of like part sales as well as responsible for this team, and attrition was possibly one of the biggest problems that we had. I think it's still exists in the same way that it did back then. But it was huge for us because, at least for me personally, it felt like as though the attrition was going to be the reason why I would lose the account. So I had no choice. I was not getting the support I wanted. So I started conducting team building activities for the group. And we had a fabulous turnaround. By the time we were 350 people in a space of about 8 months, we literally had a non-existent attrition rate. So it kind of spurred me to move from international sales in an IT company, which is in India at that time the prestigious place to be, to start a team building company with the best friends that I've ever had in my life. So that's really the journey of how it started.
That's fantastic. I mean, just so I can clarify for anybody who might have been confused about anything you just said, you actually started with your own personal team, the people working around you in your industry, and getting them involved in team building activities?
Yeah, that's right. So at the company that I worked with, one of the accounts that we had for a US-based client, actually, we had crazy attrition. There were people joining and leaving, and it was a volatile industry, and there were a lot of new companies coming up. And of course, you can't really get around to doing any kind of development if you're going to have a churn in a team, right? So I was looking for options. How do we keep this team together? Because we knew that we were going to do well, and just trying to keep them together, I started looking at various different team building activities, and started with small, fun stuff, and it just kept growing. And I was doing this on my own dime and my own time, and it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed myself. So having witnessed the power of that, I thought, this is something that we can definitely get into. So I started calling my friends and talking about this and saying, you know what, I think we just found something that could well be our calling. So why don't we try doing something like this? It's a long time ago now, but I think we went through a full year of debate and discussion, and that's what possibly got us started. The fact that we'd actually or at least I had experienced this.
Yeah, that's amazing. But let me ask you, Rupert, what exactly was those first steps for you? I mean, you managed to get some support underneath of you, but what was the team building industry like in your neck of the woods?
So about 15, 16 years ago in India, team building was a fixed location, usually on the outskirts of the city. And it meant that you would take your team to that location, a half day or a full day intervention, as it was called. But you'd have kind of like a little bit of outdoor, just a large area. There'd be a few tents out there. So putting up a tent, blindfolded, you'd have these A-frames. Usually these facilities were operated by, people who were ex-armed forces. So it was kind of like stereotyped to that level. Literally every place on the outskirts of the cities, and not just Bangalore, but most of those cities in India, that's the kind of team building that we had. So I'd say, in a way, I'd feel that we can take some credit for the fact that we started turning things around and saying, okay, you know what, we can't compete with this. We don't have that kind of area, and we are unable to market ourselves to every organization and say, come to where we are. So we start changing that around and saying, we'll come to where you go. So you tell us where your team is, and tell us what your requirement is, and let's come there and do the team bonding or the team building for you. So we took team bonding and team building to where the team was. And I think it took a few years to make that change.
Right.
But this is how it used to be. It was a stereotyped set of activities, a stereotyped location, and everyone with a very similar look and feel, I would say. So we were not exposed to too much by way of team bonding exercises or team building exercises and activities.
So before you came onto the marketplace, there was pretty much everything was just like outward bound. Is that what I'm getting?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I hadn't heard of anything other than that. Yes, there were, I mean, you've seen this, Rich. The team building and team bonding are terms that have been used and abused by literally everybody. And
sure,
you can't blame them, because anything that can put a team together and make them function better possibly deserves to be called team bonding or team building.
Right.
But back in the day, 15 years, 16 years ago, we'd have MCs of events and, hosts who would conduct icebreakers under the guise of team building. It wasn't outcome based. That's what I mean. So yes, there would be people conducting these exercises where the team was, but not at the kind of scale that, you and I are possibly used to now.
Mm. Well, like what? What, for example?
Pass a hoop through people who, a human chain, and you try and get a hoop through them, or the helium stick and things like that. And it would be a set of icebreakers, a series of, I don't know, maybe about 5 or 10 icebreakers and energizers. And that's what team building was about. So we saw a lot of short, the MCs conducting activities.
Yeah, so fairly short and simple. They would just have a routine of activities that they would do. Now, what kind of things? What kind of things did you add to change all of that up?
Well, I'd say that the percussion, the drum circle, the facilitated drum circle, is one of the things that we got into fairly early, because our exposure was to groups rather than only teams, smaller teams. So you might have heard that we have quite a lot of people, or quite a few people in India, I would say. So our teams are larger. So more often than not, it's group team building. It's not a team of 12 people and direct reportees, but we'd have not near the 18,000 that we spoke about earlier, but anything from 200, 300, 500 people. So group activities were big. And when we started the drum circle in India, the facilitated drum circle, it's something that really picked up. But apart from that, we started creating activity. I think that's where our strength was and still is. So we take a brief from a customer and tell them that, okay, how about something like this? And we built F1 cars, kind of like little go-karts, but the different versions we've been through. So these are the kind of activities, and that really picked up. So these are the earliest two activities that we had created, but whether for conflict resolution, we started talking about takeaways rather than just the fun element of a team building activity.
Right. Actually helping people to realize that what they've just done, while fun, actually had a purpose, and will actually teach them something about how well they work together. Fantastic. Now, what are the average sizes of the groups you generally tend to work with?
Over the years, it's changed, I would say. But when we started, it would be initially, I would say possibly we were around the 100 people per event kind of a mark. We started going up to, I'd say, by about 2010, 2011, we were doing more events for groups of about 300, 400 people than the smaller groups. But as organizations started recognizing us for, being able to provide team bonding and team building or learning at the leadership level, we started getting down to the smaller groups. And, anyone in the industry possibly recognizes that each one of these have their own different dynamics, and, different facilitators have different favorites in terms of the kind of group size as well as the activities. So the averages have definitely, varied across, I'd say.
Now, but all of those things, as you said, they come with different dynamics, different challenges. What kind of challenges do you face over there in India that we might not face here?
The first part, of course, is because of the size of the audience. The second is the venues. It took us quite some time to just try and understand. Just waiting for the vehicle noises outside here. Sorry about that.
That's quite all right.
Usually we get only birds at this time. Yeah. So the dynamics for us, the first is in terms of the, and the size of the teams. So large teams, different size teams, also different industries, the education level, people, their understanding and their expectations. I think that's common across the world in terms of the expectations. But then afterwards, we have, the just understanding and recognizing what a venue provides and what we had to be able to, make this a success. A company would ask us for, let's say, a treasure hunt. I think that's one of the popular type of activities. And they'd say that we're at this resort, which is huge and humongous and massive, and we can do all of this out there. And they'd give us a day's recce to be there and do this. And we get there, and it's possibly a 5-acre property. And we're like, what are we going to do out here? I mean, how do we engage 100 people over 5 acres? It's just not going to be enough unless we get them to plow the fields, I would say. So these were the initial challenges. As we started getting better at what we did, as well as trying to understand what the venues offered, I think we were able to put down a few more rules and a few more, try to mitigate these risks that we were facing when we get there. But specifically in terms of as a culture and a country, I would say that there are really two things that I see as changes. One is, of course, in the overall venue and the medium of team building, I would say. So when you consider the fact that we are a very large country, we are very diverse. It's across the entire, it's a large country as well. Not nowhere close what you guys are, but it's large enough. And each place that we go to, I think, presents its own challenge. So that's the first part. The second is in terms of the medium, the instruction. We have so many languages in India. So a different industry, unless you can have someone who can speak a little of the vernacular, it was a challenge initially. While everyone more or less in the corporate sector speaks and understands English very well, if you really want to connect with the audience, you've got to bring in a little bit of the local. And that would be a challenge, because how do you get people who can speak 18 languages in the country? I don't think there are facilitators who can do that. And then the medium also changed. So it was a lot from the outdoors. It became indoor. It became simulations. And over the last 3 years, it's become digital. In the last 60 days, it's only digital. So yeah, that's one of the I'd say I've covered the majority of the challenges that we've been facing out here.
Fantastic, Rupert. I want to get back to this in just a second. If you don't mind, though, I do need to take a quick break and talk to my team out here to do a little. We got to pay a few bills, so give me just a quick second.
Sure.
Team, let me take a break for a moment to tell you about the Catalyst Team Building Network, an association of team building providers. With representatives in over 90 countries speaking more than 20 languages, the Catalyst Network is widely regarded as the voice of the team building industry. Network members share resources, best practices, and business opportunities. Catalyst partners are learning from each other and pushing the boundaries of what is possible in team building. Catalyst Network members share a common goal of creating highly relevant, socially responsible, good valued experiences for their clients. For more information, please visit catalystglobal.com. All right, my friend, now we're back. I do want to actually say, like I said, I did some research about you, so if I can shift gears for a bit and talk a little more personally to you. You're a writer. Am I correct in that?
More from a passion. Other than that, I've not really written anything else. So I love writing articles. I'm in the. I'd say I've had this dream of wanting to publish, but the books that I start never seem to end. So from that perspective, yeah, I would say.
I have the exact same problem. I know how to start them and I know what should happen in the middle, but the ending always seems to elude me. I quite agree.
Yeah.
But you have done something that I've never even dreamed of. You've actually been on a TED Talk.
Yes, and great experience, fantastic. One more. I didn't know that I should be making bucket lists this early, but if I had to, then it's already been ticked off, so that's good.
Fantastic.
In fact, I had the. Sorry, yeah. I had the opportunity just a few weeks earlier with this entire lockdown that started in the country and possibly across the world, that the TED chapter in Bangalore reached out and said, we're planning to start something virtual and we'd like you to be the first one on this virtual show. So would you be interested? And that was an entirely different experience. So I love it. It's something that I would say it's a great opportunity for anyone for anyone who gets that opportunity, it's a great learning.
Yeah, I was actually very lucky enough to find your TED Talk on innovation. And I got to say, there was something that you mentioned specifically that really, it spoke to me. For the last 26 years now, I've been a professional actor as well as doing all of the team building things that I do. And I remember there's something you said about one thing that everybody worries about is, will I look stupid? And I have had so many actors. I've had so many actors who have taken the opportunities of the roles that they've been given and squandered them simply because they didn't want to look stupid. Now, How do you get someone over that hump? How do you actually go ahead and prove to somebody that you can go further by getting rid of all of that noise in their brain?
That's possibly the biggest challenge that all of us face. I mean, we've all seen those statistics about public speaking being a bigger fear than literally everything else in the world, beyond death as well, and things like that. And the only reason any of these fears is because we are always judging ourselves, or we're thinking that, how are others going to judge me? I'd say, that's something that comes to the fore of every thought that you're going to have. So more often than not, when you have the ability to try and see what you sound and look like, whether it's a recording or feedback from friends, any of these, when you're able to judge yourself, and you've got to set low enough standards that you're not comparing yourselves with the greatest actors or the speakers of the world, and you say, you know what, that's not too bad. I think that's a great step. Every time you do something like that and you set your milestones a little closer than where you're currently setting them, you're going to measure success in a very different way. And, that's something that we've been doing all along as well. You set your sights high, no doubt. It's called ambition. It's called, this is what you're aiming for, reach for the moon, the stars, and things like that. But whether it's your daily challenge, monthly, or, at any point of time, whatever time you're using to measure these success parameters, bring those in a little closer, get them closer to you that you can achieve, and it makes you feel good about yourself. When you start feeling a little better about yourself, I think there's rarely an occasion for you to worry about how others judge you. Of course, you're going to wear your badges, you're going to wear your conscience and ethics and all of those kind of things. So within those parameters, whatever you do and you start feeling good about yourself, I think it helps you to overcome this entire thought of, do I look silly? Am I doing something that others are going to say that, how could he do something or she do something like this? I think it helps you to get past that.
Nice. Very, very nice. So let me ask you, of the events that you've done, which I'm not necessarily you yourself, but that you've heard of in your company or personally taken part of, what's your favorite memory from any event?
Well, unfortunately, the strongest memories are of near disaster or your own embarrassment, which you just spoke about. But I do have this one memory from pretty early on. And, to be very honest, Rich, I think we've retold this story so many times that I begin to wonder how much of it is really a myth now. But, we you know how it is with storytelling. That's what typically happens. But from what I remember, we'd been trying to win this customer over, very large organization. And we were speaking to this lady in HR, and we'd been trying to win them over. And we really hadn't made much headway out there. We were fledgling operators at that point of time. But it so happened that we were at this venue for another event, and I bump into this lady, and she's all panicked, and we noticed that, just walk up to her and ask her what's happening. And her facilitator had apparently called in to say that she couldn't conduct the program, personal reasons and exigency. So we said, yeah, we'd love to help. Is there something that we can do? So then and there, we took the brief, assessed the situation, and thankfully for us, it was at our home base. So we were able to call in all the troops, pull out all the stops, and we said, we're throwing in our best activity. Made it fit rather than actually, for an activity that fit the brief. It was possibly the other way around. But we did everything gratis at no charge, and, we enjoyed ourselves. I'll be honest out here, I think our level of excitement was higher than the level of delivery that we did that day. But it was great. The customer was extremely happy that we were able to bail her out. It was an international delegation as well.
Right.
And to this day, we've not only retained that company as an account, but the lady who's brought us, who we interacted with and worked with on that day, she's moved into, I'd say, at least 5 different organizations, and she's brought us in as team building partners at every company she's moved into. So it's more than a memory. It's been a great lesson for us. It's about the persistence, the opportunity, our adaptability, flexibility, customer focus, all of these. It's I think what has helped us to stay humble and hungry, because you never know where you get these opportunities or what you can do to help someone out and how it might turn out a few years later. So it's possibly one of the things that always pops to mind every time we're thinking about what do we remember from the early days, so to speak.
That's fantastic. I have often said, especially my work with team bonding, we should always have the sub caption under our name. Yeah, we can handle that, because you've got to be
Yeah.
flexible. You've got to be the person who can actually look at a potential problem that hasn't even occurred yet, and be able to work with it and around it. That's a very exciting moment in any show that you do.
I agree.
So let's ask. Do you have any silly moments that you like to share? Anything like that you want to remember?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain this has happened to a lot of team bonding facilitators around the world. At least I'm hoping now. Now that I'm sharing the story, but yeah. So the typical Indian crowd, we had a very raucous crowd. I think we were possibly about 400 people. It was not a very large auditorium in perspective of the height. So I had these spotlights, right on me, the follow me spotlight, and on stage. We'd already conducted the icebreaker, keynote speaker coming in to, address the audience a little bit and then hand over to me. And because the crowd was just literally uncontrollable, the keynote speaker informs them that they need to listen in, pay attention, make notes, because this next part is all about keen observation skills.
Okay.
And I thank him and start talking, and I possibly went through at least 3 minutes until a sound engineer runs up on stage and hands me a hand mic and says that the headset that I was using has only been playing on the monitor and nowhere else. So they'd been trying to rectify the audio, waving at me, but because of the light of possibly my own indifference, I didn't even know it. The crazy part was the audience wasn't buying it, thanks to what the keynote speaker had said about keen observation and things like that. They thought it was an elaborate build-up of something yet to come. So no matter what I did that day, I don't think I lived up to the mystery that was created.
You should have told the sound guy, just go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah.
That is a great story. I love that. And you are absolutely correct. I can count on both my hands the amount of times that's happened to me or a facilitator I've been working with since I've been doing this since 2009. And you always check your sound beforehand, especially in a large group.
Yeah, I now take one step further, and I'm not doing. I mean, I don't want the spotlight or the follow me on on me unless it is at least 30 degrees above my eye line. I don't want it, like forcing me to frown back at the audience. So it's a learning. I think everything that we do, as silly as it may originally sound, or at least usually in retrospect. I mean, when you're on stage and this happens to you, you can't help but feel embarrassed or upset that something like this happened to you. It's only later that you can turn back and laugh at it and say, okay, that that was really crazy. But at that moment, I think it just incenses you out there.
I will agree with you, because one of the best things about my career that's helped me is being an actor for so long before I joined in with team bonding and started making facilitating a career choice for myself, was the fact that everyone had always asked me if I get nervous on a stage. And I'm like, no, the spotlights and the lights on the stage, I can't see the audience. So even though they might be 5 feet away from me, I don't know if it's there. And it's turned out to be the exact same way with facilitating. I'll be on a stage and someone will come up to me later and be like, did you see that when this happened? I'm like, yeah, I can't see a thing on that stage. But
that's so true.
Yep. Now, if you don't mind, I want to switch some gears here too. And once again, and ask, do you have any favorite charities do you work with out there in India?
Well, you mentioned B1G1. We work with them. We kind of like signed up with them as early as we could, as soon as we'd possibly just interacted with them for the first time. And that's one of the charities. It's not just Indian, I'd say, but I really like what B1G1 does. But yes, I think working with charity is something that drives one of the basis of any of these, I'd say team building events, because that it kind of like defines the purpose. So if whatever you're doing in the team building space, when you're able to define the purpose, I think it just drives everyone better. And there's nothing really better than working with charities, both for ourselves as well as our customers. I think it helps to drive that purpose strongly. And I think our own experience, as well as our work with charities has been extremely enriching. So That's something that's I'd say, give yourself as much as an opportunity to do this, whether it's volunteer work or to work with charities. I think it's fantastic.
I very much agree. And actually, with that in mind, if you don't mind, we're going to take one more jump. And let me take a minute to tell my team all about B1G1, which can make your business a real force for good. When you're part of B1G1, you bring new purpose, meaning, and relevance to your business by making giving a core of what you do. Unlike conventional giving models, B1G1 helps small and medium-sized businesses achieve more social impact by embedding giving activities in their everyday business operations to create unique giving stories. Every business transaction can impact lives from just as little as 1 cent. So please visit b1g1.com to get yourself started. B1G1, business for good. I can hear those birds out there now. They're very lively.
Oh, yeah.
Has the sun come up for them?
I don't hear them as much with the headphones.
Actually, it sounds glorious out there.
Yeah, the morning's beautiful that way.
Now, let me ask you, have you, you say that when you got started in this, most of the companies, besides taking people to the outskirts of the cities and doing some outdoors events with them, they mostly just did icebreakers or energizers. Now, do you do any of those in your performances, in your facilitations?
Yeah, I think we use icebreakers and energizers as a way to kind of like set the tone. You
have any favorites?
Yeah, the majority of time, any of the icebreakers, we're kind of like, I mean, most of the organizations we work with, we're there as part of another event. So it could be a convention, it could be some internal communication that's going on, a town hall and things like that, and we're there to kind of like bring in a team building or a team bonding experience. So we use the icebreaker, to try and set that tone for the organization, I mean, for the team. And my favorite is the rainfall. So I saw it on our Toto video for their song Africa, and we modified it to conduct it for groups. And what I love best is the look of disbelief, once you've got them to create that rainfall and the thunder and so on. Because I think when you have a team believing in themselves or believing in itself, almost everything else you do from there is a definite cakewalk. So that's been my all-time favorite. I love it.
Now, you got to take a minute here to explain this to me, because you mentioned one of my favorite songs of all time, but it's been many years since I've seen the video. How do you, as an energizer, make people make rainfall?
So you just inform the group that they're going to do something sequentially, and it's going to be at your pace. So as a facilitator, you possibly call out the person that you see on the extreme right, ask for their name, again, the person on the extreme left, and let's say the first person is Rich and the last person is Rupert. And you can say, Rich, I'm starting with you, and you just follow what I'm doing. And the rest of you, when my hand waves over you, you join in. Once you start, you don't stop. So I demonstrate to Rich how to rub their hands together. So you just start rubbing your palms and you do it as vigorously as you can. Start slow, increase the pace. And once Rich starts, you start waving your hand across the audience from your right all the way to your left. And as you do that, you're going to hear this little sound. It sounds like wind. It sounds like breeze that's just picking up. And you get them to move a little faster. And then you turn towards Rich and just start miming the action of snapping your fingers. Not everyone can snap both hands, but everyone's going to try, and you're still going to get that little pitter patter at a very random kind of like this. And it sounds like as though rainfall that's just started. It turned back to Rich, and while this is going on, it's picking up an intensity in the audience. You turn back to Rich and say, all right, Rich, you don't even say anything. You just start miming that you're going to start tapping your thighs, and get them to switch over from snapping their fingers to slapping their thighs. And again, move your hand all across to the other side, and you're going to hear this intensity of rainfall increase. I like to tell people that where we come from, it's a lot more heavier than what you guys are doing. So go ahead and abuse yourself. So before you know it, they're slapping themselves silly. And, then we wait for that to build up and then go in reverse order. So this time I start with the person on my extreme left and work backwards to stop the rainfall. So to go all the way back to rubbing the palms, and you're going to have a lot of people going ooh and ah in between itself. I mean, during this exercise, and it's just a couple of minutes, but it's literally magical.
That's fantastic. I'm stealing that one, by the way. I'm going to start doing that one from now on.
Spread it around and just say you got it from me.
I will definitely do that. Speaking of which, I have to say, the reason that I asked early on if you were an actual published writer, I was looking at your website, and I am amazed by the amount of articles that you actually have up. I had a chance to glance through a few of them, and your writing is fantastic. I want to give you a chance here to self-promote. Can you tell everybody what that website is so they can come find you?
So it's difference.com. It's DFRENS, but pronounced as difference, as in making a difference. So that's our website. That's our parent company.
And Rupert's writing is all over this website. I mean, you could really fall down a rabbit hole just reading everything that this man has written and posted on that site. And all of it, they're golden gems. There's just so much good stuff in there, not only for team building, but just to read, for yourself. Now, with that in mind, Rupert, I want to, if we can get a little more personal with you here. If we can't, that's fine. You can feel free to let me know. We can always shift away. But what's your personal family life like?
Just the two of us, my wife and I. We don't have kids, but she claims that it's literally a full-time job, just picking up after me or taking care of me or just putting up with me. So it's the two of us, and that's what family life is like. She works full-time as well, and she doesn't consider what I do as work in the classic sense, and so that debate rages on. I don't think there's an end to it because I'm one of those guys who I just don't relate to the statement if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. It's the opposite for me. So I love tinkering, finding ways to make things better or just different, I say. So I love learning something new. So I guess in a way, possibly a way to get back at the neighbors. So I've tried to learn 9 musical instruments so far. I'm stuck on the saxophone, and it's only because of, I think, this lockdown and this entire, where everyone just seems to be cloistered at home, that I'm feeling sorry for my neighbors, and I've not been getting that out and trying to play that. But yeah, I just like learning something new. I love painting, sketching, trying my hand at new technologies, building websites, animation. I love what you guys have on your website. I mean, I've been inspired with that for years now. For the first time that I had come across teambonding.com, I said, that video that you had right up there was something which was beautiful. And I said, I'm going to learn to do this. And I learned, and I haven't put up too many videos, but I just enjoy doing things like that.
And my boss thanks you for the free plug, by the way. My boss thanks you for the free website plug there, by the way. That was very nice of you.
Yeah. So, we both enjoy the outdoors. We love traveling. Family life is a lot of fun. And I think anything that you do is a lot of fun if you enjoy what you do. And I think that's what this industry is all about, too.
Yep. So what you're saying is you're a very boring man. And you don't have any hobbies. All right. Rupert, I cannot tell you what a joy you have been to talk to tonight. Thank you so much for coming on with us. Now, we're just about at the point where we're going to let you go. But before we do so, there's something that I like to do to kind of torment us on this side of the industry. See, when we actually come across new people coming in, not knowing what they're going to be going through as part of a team building exercise, there's usually a touch of dread. So I'm always hoping that this gets to share that dread a little bit. I would like you to come along with me and play a speed round. Now, the way this works, I'm going to ask you for over 60 seconds. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And your objective is just to answer those questions as simply and quickly as you can. Try to get through as many questions as you can. All right?
Okay. One question, though, before you start, Rich. Do I have to answer all of them in English, or just to cheat out here, I can use any language I'd like?
Well, I'm going to say, what? A lot. But that doesn't count as a question. All right, my friend, hold on one second. Let's get started. As soon as you hear the music, I'll start you in with a question. Ready? Here we go. What is your name?
Rupert Picardo.
Do you have any pets?
No.
What's the worst thing you did as a child?
I painted the walls.
Without them knowing, I assume.
I hope so.
Besides your own company, what other company do you wish you would be a part of?
Interesting one. Something which is to do with sports and playing, I guess.
Nice. What do you like to do on a rainy day?
Go out in the rain. I love the rain.
Lovely. Now, would you rather be the smartest kid in school or the most popular kid in school?
Neither. A little bit of an introvert. Both of those attract attention.
You're an introvert?
I'm an introvert in an extrovert skin. I have to pretend to be the outgoing person, but I'd prefer to just be locked up in my broom closet under the stairs somewhere.
That is amazing. My God. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to my guest, Rupert Picardo, everybody. Rupert, you have been... Hold on, where is my applause? Come on, guys. Hear him. There it is. Rupert, I cannot thank you enough for coming on. You have been an absolute charm. Once again, that's Difference, DFRENS.com, where you can read all of Rupert's many thoughts and ideas. Rupert, thank you so much for coming out here today.
Thank you for having me, Rich. And it's been a pleasure. Enjoyed myself. And, wish you guys all the best. And for everyone who's listening as well during this time, I think, if I may add, Rich, something out here, I think a lot of organizations don't even realize that a team is the smallest functional unit of an organization. And in times like these, and possibly any other time, it's very easy to overlook the fact that, teams are what make the company. So they tend to put all of these other things aside. And they put the team aside and they put everything else ahead of it. And we've seen that the teams that succeed are the ones that really try to take care of the health of the team. And anything that you do for building that bonding, we're not saying that, work with team building experts and things like that, but just keep that team happy, healthy, and every organization is definitely going to reap those rewards. That's something I live by. That's something I advocate. So it's not about, working with team building experts or trying to bring in people to do your team building for you, but just take care of the teams. I think that's what's important.
Beautifully.
Thank you for having me on this. I've really enjoyed every moment.
Thank you. Beautifully put, Rupert. Thank you so much. And thanks to you, my team out there, for listening to Team Building Around the World. If you like this show, please share it with your friends or colleagues. We'd be grateful if you would subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your favorite podcasts and leave a favorable review. If you don't want to leave a favorable review, just shut up about it. It's okay. No one really minds. Now, all the past episodes can be found at teambuilding.com. But as for me, my friends, I've been Rich Riddensland. This has been Team Building Around the World. And as always, remember, if you're within the sound of my voice, you're now a part of my team and I'm a part of yours. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
It's been said that you learn more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. So why not put your coworkers to play with the help of the team at Team Bonding? Team Bonding was founded over 20 years ago with one simple question. How can employees have a great time while fostering strong, authentic bonds between people who work together? Their catalog of innovative events includes scavenger hunts, Jeopardy, and much more. Each activity, whether live, virtual, or hybrid, maximizes the impact of team building with an accent on fun. Visit teambonding.com to schedule your event now. Team Bonding, when you want seriously fun results.